Since I originally posted my A Better Way to Use Compression video, I've had a lot of requests on how I use EQ as well, so here it is. I basically split it into two parts for time's sake and because of the complexity of the issue. To introduce what EQ is, or equalization, it's effectively a method of manipulating the spectral balance of a signal, so if something has, for instance, too much bass, you can reduce that, or if it has too much mid-range, you could reduce that as well. Now there's basically four controls on this particular EQ here, but I have an input level, which is used to control signal to noise ratio and distortion. I have a high pass filter, also called low cut, which allows only frequencies above a certain range to pass through the filter. I have a low pass filter, or a high cut. It allows frequencies below a certain range to pass through the filter. These are both important to reduce interference, things like rumble or supersonic interference that can badly influence the audio. And over here we have the parametric portion of this EQ, which are the bandpass filters in this case. These allow you to boost or cut frequencies in a bell-shaped curve. The cool thing about these is not only can I boost or cut, but I can also select which range of frequencies to affect and how wide that range of frequencies is. And I have 4 of these bands on this. There's also something called low shelf, which will effectively boost everything below a certain range or boost everything above a certain range in the case of a high shelf. So basically I'm going to start here with everything in bypass. I've already set up my EQ so that the input level and the output level are the same. Now the most important aspect of using a tool like EQ is your ability to hear the sound. If you have a monitor system that skews that image, you're not going to make good decisions. You can never completely compensate for a bad monitor system. Likewise, the sound must travel through your room to get to your ears, so your room is part of that, and it's important to make sure that you have proper acoustic treatment for your environment as well, to make sure that it doesn't influence the decisions you make. Okay, the first thing I notice is there's a pretty big bottom end, so I'm going to turn on the master EQ here, turn on my low band, and I'm going to set this to boost. Now I'm going to sweep the bandwidth back and forth until it exaggerates the problem the most. It seems to be living right around there, so now I'm going to set it to cut. And I'm going to narrow the bandwidth until it affects just the frequencies I want, and maybe a final touch to the frequency range. Okay, another thing I notice is that there's a lot of presence, so I'm going to turn on my upper mid-range here. Again, set it to boost. And I'm going to sweep it back and forth until it exaggerates the problem the most. Right about there. Set it to cut. Reduce my bandwidth until I'm affecting only the range I want. Now I could certainly get a lot deeper into this and spend a lot of time on this, but I'm just trying to make a generalization on how to use this sort of tool. It's generally best to make cuts instead of boosts. Your ear is much more in tune to spikes in the audio rather than dips. Instead of trying to add something that isn't there, try to cut what's excessive.